Okay, so I'm gonna start with a video that everybody in the guild is gonna get to see, hopefully get to see. Hopefully you guys will watch all of these. But in any case, okay, so this is one that's in every guild page because so much hinges on what we're about to do with these two particular items, okay? And what I'm talking about is your purpose or your vibe, as well as the audience, okay? So for every type of editing that or every stage of editing that you're going to go through with your manuscript, you need to kind of know these ahead of time because a, a lot of the hard decisions that you're going to make are going to hinge on the answers that you're going to give for these particular topics. Okay, so you're going to come to some hard decisions about what needs to be cut, what type of language you use, all of that kind of stuff hinges on two main things, okay? And that's your purpose or your vibe, as well as your audience, okay? The purpose or the vibe of your book is, the why. Why did you write this book? What were you looking to accomplish? Or you could think of it as what vibe do you want your readers to have? Okay. So let me give you an example from my own book that I'm, working on. And that's the Stitchers book. And so when I went into this, it was, one of the things that really struck me before I even started writing is I became a mom, and I realized I looked around in fantasy, and I realized, or even in a lot of fiction, like any of the action stuff that I love, the family always dies, and the hero has to go off and avenge them, or something along those lines. And I never got to see a mom, for example, still have to be a mom, but still be a hero. And so that's the vibe that I wanted. That was my purpose in writing this book. I wanted I wanted to find myself in literature. And so I wrote that book because I didn't find myself. And I think a lot of people do that. The vibe that I was going for, I wanted my readers to go on an adventure and have fun and see themselves in the book, and to also know that I am not going to kill off major characters and totally ruin their day. There's going to be, it's going to be a roller coaster, but it's going to be fun and it's going to be lighthearted. I also, because I'm catering more to moms, I had to do things like think, okay, if once I turn this into an audiobook, they're going to be listening in the car to this with their kids, and everybody has like a different level of what kind of language they want their kids to hear. And so I wanted to make sure that I kind of hit it for any mom could pick up this book and listen to it on audio and not be afraid that, too many bad words are going to be repeated by their kids in the backseat. Okay. So that gives you an idea of what I mean by the purpose or the vibe. I want you in the last week of May to really consider what that is for your book. Okay. Because this is going to help you as you start your editing process. You're going to have to make hard decisions when you hit that editing plan stage. Okay. So please, please know this ahead of time. Okay. It's going to help you make those hard decisions as you get there. Okay, so the second thing that you need to consider is your audience. And, I want you to get a little bit more specific. Now, I know, first off, you should know, primarily who your audience is, the demographic and all that kind of stuff. But I want you to, and this works best, is if you pick out somebody that okay, who fits this demographic. Okay, so I'm going to use an example again from me. So my sister she loves to read. Okay, and she's a big audiobook listener. She's also a mom. And so I know that when she's listening to audiobooks, at times she's going to have her kid in the back seat. But I also know she's educated. She owns her own business. So she's discreet, or, she has, or discerning is the word that I'm looking for. She's going to be picky about the books that she reads because she doesn't want to waste an Audible credit. Okay. And those things are hard to come by, right? Okay, so let me pause here at this weird little picture that I have of myself because I forgot to add this in, apparently. In any case, so what I wanted to add here is just an explanation for why I'm telling you to pick someone that you know who it fits your demographic, okay? So if you don't know someone in your demographic, well, I mean, you really should, because how can you really effectively reach them if you don't know who they are? Okay, how can, if you write YA, how are you, or middle grade, and you have no nieces or nephews who are, who fit the kind of reader that you're trying to reach, well, then that's going to be a problem. How are you going to be able to effectively reach them? There's a reason why there are so many teachers who are so great at being able to read to write YA, and that's because they're with teenagers and they're with middle schoolers all the time, which is a wonderful thing. They're able to impart different kinds of truths and reach them in really great ways with the stories that they write, because they have that type of a relationship and they know how to really get through to the demographic. For example, if you don't have that, then you really need to think about, and you don't have anyone like in your close circle of family and friends, then you need to get some sensitivity readers, and those are just folks who can really look over your book. So if, for example, you're writing for YA, but you don't know any teenagers in your circle, find first off the teachers, any of the teachers that you can think of who deal with teenagers all the time, and try and go and see if they will be the ones that can be your beta readers or your sensitivity readers. That way they have that firsthand experience, okay? Because that's really going to help you drill in there, okay? So just make sure that you know your demographic. So the second reason is, when you're editing, it's really hard when you think of your demographic of, like, if you're with YA, of all teenagers. How are you going to write for all teenagers? Or even if it's just for female teenagers, okay, how are you going to write for just all of the female teenagers in the world? Like, you cannot edit for that. However, if you have a niece that whose name is, I don't know, Catherine. If you know Catherine, you can edit for Catherine, but you cannot edit for the whole world. But if you can make decisions based on what you know about Catherine and her likes and that sort of thing, okay? It's the same idea that I gave you with my sister. I cannot edit for every woman in the world, or every mom between the ages of 20 and 50. Who knows? Like, you can't edit for that wide range of people. I can't, but I can make decisions based on my sister, and because she fits that kind of profile, okay? Am I writing specifically and editing specifically for her? Like, am I going to make every call just based on what she likes? No, but some of those hard decisions, she's a picture of my demographic. Just like if you're writing YA and you have Catherine, who's your niece, she's a picture of your demographic, and that kind of having that type of picture in your head of who you're writing for is going to help you make those hard calls. Okay, so let me give you an example, okay? So one of the hard calls that I had to make was how much foul language, if you will, I would have to make, or I would have in my novels, especially because I'm planning on having this in audiobook format. And I mean, if it were just the written word, I wouldn't be as concerned, because, kids can't hear it, so to speak. But I know my audience, some of them will be turned off. Some moms are turned off by having their kids hear foul language. And so that was one of those hard calls that I had to make. And I know, like, for example, my sister, she kind of falls in between. Like, she doesn't care that much because her little one is really little. But I do know if he were a bit older, she would probably be a little squeamish about having some of the language used in the book, okay? And because she doesn't want to hear her little one starting to repeat words that he has no business saying. So I hope that you catch my drift here with some of these hard decisions that you can make, and you can make or break them if you know your audience, and the same goes with your purpose or your vibe, okay? Okay, so now that you know these things, It's really going to make your editing across the board, no matter what guild you're in, it's going to make it across the board so much easier to make those hard decisions. So please, in the week leading up to the Revisor's Quest, please go ahead and think about these. So, like I'm talking about the end of May, really think about what your purpose of your vibe is of your novel, as well as your audience, because it's going to really help you drill in and make those hard decisions, and even some easy ones, like some that are going to be like, oh yeah, well, that's a no-brainer because my audience is this, or that's a no-brainer because my purpose of my book is really this. So or this doesn't really suit the vibe that I'm going for. Okay, so I need to cut this, or I need to add that because of this. So really know this before you head into June 1st. Okay, it's really going to help you a lot when it comes to making hard decisions. Okay, all right. Thank you.